I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV. Today we're going to do episode 132 at Velocities in Music, Red Sparowes, The Fear is Excruciating, but therein lies the answer?
Yes.
Man, what a long album title. But not their longest, because their previous works have had album titles that are just all the way down.
Track titles and song lengths much longer. So they shortened everything up for this album.
Yeah, this album is much more contained. Red Sparowes is a post-rock band from California. Post-rock. Tom and I love post-rock. We really do. Bands like Saxon Shore, Explosions in the Sky, from Monument to Masses, and now Red Sparowes. Caspian.
Yes.
Lots
of good ones out there.
But post-rock, I think, brings a lot of attention to some of the more some of the more almost forgotten about aspects of rock music, because it's not prog, it's not rock and roll, it's not new age, it's not any of those things, but it's post-rock. It's, they're focusing on songwriting, making compositions, just using guitars and bass and drums.
All about mood.
And it's all about mood. And pretty much you're talking to two guys that love that. So I don't know, Tom, you want to give a little background?
Well, as far as this album in particular goes, now I haven't actually had much experience with Red Sparowes' older work, but from my understanding, this album is a little more focused. They trimmed some things down, like we mentioned, not only track titles but song lengths. Now with post-rock, when you've got instrumental music, the track titles are going to be more important.
Oh, absolutely.
Because those are the only words that you have to attach to the songs.
To give the songs the imagery.
So that you can connect the mood that you get from the songs to something, anything. It kind of grounds it.
And in here, it does something really cool, because I think that just based on the tracks and then the music, it actually creates like this, it's not a concept album because there's not lyrics talking about the apocalypse, but I think it's apocalyptical in its design.
Yes. It has this kind of the Indus near vibe, which is really cool. It's really alluring, makes it very interesting to listen to. Now, this album in particular, Red Sparowes, this band and this album, what they're bringing to post-rock what they're bringing to the post-rock table that's different from other bands, to kind of bring some perspective, because to people out there that might not listen to this genre a lot like we do, you might just have trouble telling the difference, and it's totally understandable. Now, I mentioned this in our Saxon Shore It Doesn't Matter episode. I hate it when people call this background music, because it's not background music. You're missing the point if you think that. I won't get into that. Go watch that episode if you want to hear me rant about it. But there's an old saying that goes, you might not remember what people did to you, you might not remember what people say to you, but you'll never forget how they made you feel. That's this album to me. To tell you the truth, I've listened to this album a lot, and I can right now hardly recall on command a particular melody or anything that happens. I mean, that's one big difference between this and like Saxon Shore, for example. Saxon Shore focuses a lot more on songwriting. They have catchy, hooked melodies that will pull you in, that will get stuck in your head just as much as something with vocals. Not as much of that here.
Right.
What I remember is how the way these tracks made me feel. And I like that. It's different. It's, that way I don't go, oh, I loved this sound that was in this song, so I want to listen to it. I think, wow, I loved the feeling that this gave me. I love the mood of it, so I'm going to come back to it. That's what this album's all about. At the same time, they're doing some really cool things instrumentally. Another thing that they bring to the table that's different is this is the most bass-driven post-rock I've ever heard. The bass plays a very important role, not only melodically, but just in holding down that low end. It's not sparkly high end like Monument to Masses was, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's something refreshingly different. This is much thicker, much more mid-range, low end, kind of crunchy, heavier sound at times, mixed with the nice delayed guitars, single note overlays, and they all just kind of combine to make, as Jake aptly put it, very apocalyptic, dark, yet somehow strangely kind of optimistic sound.
Right.
And that's what I love in music, is when you can be creepy, you can be dark, yet there's this glint of optimism, like, you know what, the ship's going down, but we're not dead yet.
These guys do a great job. I just completely lost my train of thought. Keep going.
Oh man, I don't even know what else to say. I pretty much said all I wanted to say.
These guys, I kind of remembered.
Okay.
These guys do a great job of crafting their sound and referencing their influences. I get a couple of these tracks. Man, did I get some Pink Floyd on this. And like track 5, A Swarm, that sounds like Echoes, the 30-minute Pink Floyd track on the B-side of Metal. But it's never overt. It's never to the point where I go, oh, they're blatantly ripping this off. It's always just reference there, and then they use that to contort that, and they make it in their message. They make their sound their own, and that's something that I think that really every band needs to do if they're going to be successful. And these guys do it. Something that I love about this album, Tom nailed it with the added bass and the post-rock, but something that I just attached to, which is pretty prevalent in all post-rock music, but I really like this style more so, is the guitar work. Because back to that, I really saw a lot of the guitar melodies to be kind of a mixture between almost David Gilmour from Pink Floyd-esque guitar mixed with like Christopher Walla of Death Cab, just like that pretty, you know, it's a weird blend, but man, is it just addictive and moody, and I like it, and it really just was just like icing on this beautiful post-rock apocalyptic cake for me, and I just ate it up. But I thought that the songwriting, you know, these guys never. They had a nice variety of structure. They did a great job, you know, blending all these different parts together. And these songs were more like movements than they were actual tracks. And they could have broke this up, instead of being 8 songs, they could have broke this up and it could have been 28 songs. And just had it cut in random different spots. Now, these arrangements did kind of come to a close, and that's where they decided to put the track numbers. But overall, I just got this huge vibe. These guys know exactly what they're doing and exactly how to do it, and they do a damn good job of doing it. And I like it. I like that. I loved listening to this in my headphones, just zoning out at work and just loving it, every second of it.
Now, this is an interesting album because, for me, songwriting is very important. Yet this album's not about songwriting. It's about an experience. And I mean, just think about the album title. The fear is excruciating, but therein lies the answer. That tells you right there, this is about a life experience. And the album plays like one. And so at that point, you know, for me, sometimes I would have liked, and you'll almost never hear me say this, I would have almost liked a little more repetition just so I could connect to the songs a little better. But it really would have killed that experience. So for what they were going for, you know, maybe I don't even appreciate it as much as I could, but they nailed it. They really did.
And I like this a lot. And the 2 other post-rock albums we've done, you know, Saxon Shore does a little bit more with structure, but From Monument to Masses didn't really play around too much with repetitive structures.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
But I really like this, and I would really hate to see post-rock. I don't think post-rock could be successful. You could be successful in the post-rock genre if you were structured in a pop sense. But this album does have that. It's hard to remember the things, just like you said. It's hard to remember these tracks. Now, track 3, A Hail of Bombs, I have that guitar part ingrained in my brain, and I cannot get it out. I'm just listening to that track right now, so that track I remember. But I agree with Tom. This album is very good when you're listening to it. Now, because it's not as memorable, I don't know if I'll be able to go back to it all that often. Like, for as good as it is, I just feel like, I wish that I could there was just some blatant, and maybe it's just, you know, my naivety. I want a hook. I want something to make it memorable, like you're saying.
I think that I will come back to this, but it'll be in a different context.
I know the context.
All of a sudden, it'll be some dark, stormy night. I'll be sitting in my room, and all of a sudden, it'll just hit me, Red Sparowes.
Or you and me will be playing StarCraft together.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This would just be the best StarCraft album ever.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing that. Yeah, I feel like we're in pretty much a similar spot.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really was surprised. I really like this album.
Yeah, me too.
Tracks. Let's pick them. I'll go first.
Okay.
I already said I love A Hall of Bombs, or A Hail of Bombs. That's my favorite track on this album, but I really liked Giving Birth to Imagined Saviors. That song has these sweet-ass key changes in it, and it makes the song for me. I love it when bands can do key changes in the middle of the song. Time signatures are one thing, but key changes are just as difficult to pull off, and to pull them off and be subtle about it is great, because, you know, Journey and Bon Jovi, they have these songs with the obvious key change and the second time through with the last chorus, like, that doesn't count. But doing subtle key changes in the middle of your song is brilliant. These guys do a great job of that. Track 5, A Swarm, that one's a lot like Echoes. I got a sweet video of them playing that live down there. And then track 7, A Mutiny. So I actually picked 4 tracks. I just love this album.
I'm going to pick tracks 2 through 4. In Illusions of Order, A Hail of Bombs, and Giving Birth to Imagined Saviors. I felt like that was the strong... I mean, not that the last half isn't good, but I just felt like that was a strong way to start it after the kind of intro track of Truth's Arise.
I figured you would like In Illusions of Order, because I really felt like, especially the drums made that feel like kind of a Tool-esque song.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that was the only one. Like I said, they're really good at like citing their references, but never blatantly, you know, taking too much from them. So this band's talented, and I would love to hear more of their work.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to give it?
I'm gonna give it a 78.
I'm liking this. I'm gonna go 81.
All right.
I do feel like this is an 80 album. Post rock is a little bit harder to grade. Because there's no vocals, so you don't have that element. But a lot of times bands can really screw up on the vocals and lyrics. I mean, it can be a real botch for an album, botch spot. So maybe it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so that's Red Sparowes, A Fierce Excruciating, concluding our 132nd episode of Velocities in Music. Please go to www.velocitiesandmusic.com. Let us know. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think about post-rock and what you want out of a post-rock album. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are moving music critique forward.